Some of the most important things in Tuscarawas County aren't things that we built. They're the natural resources that have sustained us for generations. From our lakes and rivers to our forests, trails, and energy resources, these places and assets have shaped where we live, how we work, and the quality of life we enjoy today. This month, we're exploring the natural resources that continue to define our region, hearing from the people who protect them, manage them, and help ensure they'll be here for generations to come. We're out here at beautiful Atwood Lake, and I'm joined today by Executive Director Craig Butler of the Muskingum Watershed Conservancy District. Thank you for bringing me up here today.
You're welcome. This is a beautiful spot.
This is a beautiful spot. You mentioned the mission statement of MWCD. What is that mission statement that you guys stand behind?
Yeah, so our mission started in right after the 1913 flood. We reformed this idea of a conservancy district. Our original mission after 1913 floods, which devastated the region, not just Ohio, but the entire region. And if you look close enough now, you can still see the remnants of that. And you'll see high water marks at the Lafayette Hotel down in Marietta that are on the second and third floor. And you can see historical devastation. It was the worst natural disaster in the state of Ohio, still is, in terms of loss of life and property damage. So they came up with this idea to say, we can't do this every few years. We have to figure out how to manage flooding. And they created this idea of a conservancy district in a law called the Von der Heide Act in 1939. Our original conservation mission was, as you see, the pine trees around here. We planted 11 million or so pine trees to hold and stabilize the soil, because this was basically that you would not see a tree here when we built the lake. It was completely denuded, poor farming practices. And so their primary mission was to hold the soil and improve it, and it's done spectacular. And the water quality is the best in the state, anywhere, and we'll compete with anybody about having the best water quality anywhere in the country, if not in the state. Well, we walked on a little piece of a trail coming here to the observation tower, and we just released a comprehensive plan to say in the next 30 years we're going to have over 300 miles of trails. So we're talking about Bryce Browning. Bryce is our founder.
Yeah.
The first of only 4 directors in our 93 years.
When he first started this back a long time ago, what do you think he would think of today?
Oh, I think he'd love it.
Where you guys are at.
Yeah, I think he'd love it. So we have some video of him giving a speech about why he did this. Yeah. I'll just take a second and read you a piece of it. We had a vision. We studied, planned, and worked to make it a reality. Strong leaders developed from among us. We followed them through the difficult days when discouragement made the vision seem dim and a goal very far away. The Muskingum Valley is a living thing. It's growing trees and living waters. It's the people and the hopes and aspirations for generations yet unborn. On this good land, full and abundant, there is life. It's a happy place. But our story does not end there. It will never end. Once a vision is born, it will never die. The vision grows, and the people grow with it. Come see for yourself.
As a historian in Tuscarawas County, I would like to also take a moment to interpret natural resources in its traditional definition, industrial materials and substances found in nature, such as mineral deposits and water power. Tuscarawas County has been blessed with hills full of natural resources that have helped create the area we live in today. It was very early on in our county's history that the settlers discovered coal and iron ore in the hills, and the first blast furnaces were built to smelt the iron. Coal mines, large and small, have dotted the landscape to provide fuel for industry. Iron mines existed for a time in Fairfield and York and Jefferson townships. The clay industry made Uhrichsville the clay capital of the world, when as many as 32 plants dotted the county landscape, producing soar pipe, face brick, and fire brick. The resource of the Tuscarawas River can also be looked at as a source of the county's development. In early times, it was used for transportation and entertainment. In March 1913, however, it showed its power during the Great Flood that affected most of the state of Ohio. Low-lying areas across the county were flooded and bridges torn from their moors. The south side of New Philadelphia was completely cut off from the rest of civilization. The result of this flood was the eventual creation of the Muskingum Watershed Conservancy District, creating a system of dams and reservoirs to prevent future catastrophic floods and provide wonderful natural resources of lakes and parks for recreational purposes. In the Tuscarawas County area, we have the only cement dam in the system in Dover Dam and 2 nearby lakes with Atwood and Tappan.
We're out here at Camp Tuscazoar, and I am talking to the president of the foundation, Sean Harris. He is going to take us through here and talk to us about what is so significant about Camp Tuscazoar. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm good. So tell us, where are we standing and what is this beautiful place?
Well, this is Camp Tuscazoar, and you are getting ready to walk through our stockade.
And for somebody that doesn't know what that means, what does that mean?
Well, it's to create the imagination in younger people that you're walking through a fort.
Ooh,
so
okay.
This is our stockade fort. It somewhat resembles an old fort you'd see back in the pioneer times.
Well, I asked you before we started, I said, are people allowed to just come here, park, and use the trails for free?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we've got two parking lots. This is our main parking lot. And you can access all of our trails from any of these trails. The whole system's interconnected. And whether that's hiking, biking, or horseback riding, or trail running, you can just jump on a trail right over here. There's another trail right here. This is our Icky Extension Trail. This will take you, if you stay on it, all the way out to Buzzard's Roost, which overlooks the dam.
How did Camp Tuscazoar become what it is today?
Well, back in the very early 20s, this was the start of a Boy Scout camp. When scouts first started coming to Camp Tuscazoar, they would come in by train, which is wild that you would put your kid on a train.
At any age?
Well, I mean, scouting age, so anywhere from
5?
like 10 to 18.
Oh my gosh.
They would come on a train, and there's 2 railroad beds. Back then, there was 1 railroad bed. There was a lower railroad bed, which came along the river. And they would just get dropped off, and they'd hike up to camp. And I know that's wild. That's wild.
Do you have a 10-year-old? Would you ever drop your 10-year-old on a train and just say, have fun at camp?
I mean, maybe if I was going, but
not.
But that's a different life back then.
Right.
But it's all about adventure, and part of that spirit, I think, is what carries into today. Is that kids for decades came here all the way up into '86 and had adventures in these woods. They would run around and they would hear stories of Indians, and they'd hear stories of the Zorrites and all kinds of stuff.
When you are looking at the big picture, 100 years from now, what do you hope to see here at Camp Tuscazoar? What's your goal?
I would like to continue to see it grow in our community, and doing the same thing that it's always done. Offer adventures to the next generation.
When you look at the future of this company and how maybe oil and gas is going to be in the next 100 years, what is your hope? What is your dream? What do you see for the future?
If I were to look back to like the 5 or 6 ups and downs we've had in this industry since I've been in it, because we've had to endure some downtrends and some long-term, low points. But the thing about it is that they say the cure to high prices is high prices, because what that does is it causes people to come get into business and say, hey, we can sell oil and gas for these high prices. Let's go find some. So then all the drillers come out and everybody with the money, and they start investing. And then next thing you know, you got an oversupply of product, and then the price goes down. And so we're constantly price sensitive. And the other thing is, we don't make the price. We're price takers. We're not price makers. The only thing we can decide is are we wanting to sell our product at that point? And sometimes if we don't want to, we have to shut it off. Well, there comes operational problems with shutting off. So we often just have to say, we're just going to keep it going and suck it up.
Suck it up.
Yeah.
Does conservation play into your industry?
Sure.
What kind of a role does that play?
Well, the state of Ohio in the mid-'60s didn't have much of an oil and gas law. And so there were wells back before that when someone would strike oil, and you saw in my map of SIO in there, and there were these rigs on every town lot. That's not orderly development. And it created a huge environmental issue and lots of noise pollution, all those things. So they created a rule and law, 1509, chapter 1509 of the Ohio Revised Code. And in there it put rules and laws in place for orderly development. So conservation-wise means that if you're drilling for oil and gas at a certain depth, you need so much land and so much spacing from the neighbor. Think about today, a shale pad, which would probably be maybe as big as my spot here, 5 acres. There could be a dozen wells on there, and they could drain an area 3 miles up to 4 miles away from this spot. Because with the new technology, horizontal drilling, they can go out that far, and now you've got this one little area draining all that area. Instead of having to have a well about every 40 acres or every 1,200 feet on a grid. So you don't have all that footprint now. We've been able to do a better job technologically, and it's more economic.
All right, so we are joined from ODNR, Ohio Department of Natural Resources, with Monica Bowman. Hi, Monica.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Really good.
So for those who are unfamiliar with ODNR, why is ODNR important to Tuscarawas County, and how has it changed over time?
Sure. So the Ohio Division of Wildlife is one part of the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. That's who I work for, is the Division of Wildlife. We also have Parks and Watercraft. They're really exciting. People love getting out and seeing our wild areas, hiking the trails. For Division of Wildlife, we help to manage the lakes and rivers and our wildlife areas where people can recreate. They can go hunting and fishing, bird watching, trapping. So they can do all sorts of these wonderful activities with their families. These activities have been really important for humans in Ohio for as long as humans have been in Ohio. Over 300 years ago, Ohio was super, super wild. So there were over 90% of the state was actually covered in forests. So our forest lands, when European settlement came, were cut down a lot for the wonderful timber that they provided. It helped with our agriculture, so agriculture became really big, and so they cleared a lot of land for agriculture. And then market hunting was very big. So when the market hunting was happening, a lot of our wildlife species declined. So wildlife was very important to our people. People wore them as clothes. You couldn't just go to the store and purchase a shirt. You had to probably make that. You had to either grow the cotton, grow the flax, make your clothing. You had to use leather to make your shoes and pants and all bags and all sorts of things. And fur kept us warm. Ohio can get pretty chilly. So our natural resources are extremely important to humans being able to live in this landscape. Our waters are very important. So things from fishing. Fishing is so important. It feeds us. We have to be able to eat. And we have to be able to drink water. So having clean water in the state is extremely important. And that's one reason why the wise use of our resources is so important. A natural resource is something that you have to protect in order to keep it here forever. So that's one reason, a lot of reasons why Ohio Department of Natural Resources and Division of Wildlife are so important to the county and to the whole state.
We're out here at Kimble's. I mean, it's pretty much well known when you drive through 39 what you're driving by. Everyone recognizes the Kimble logo. And I'm standing here with Grant Kimble. He is the manager of waste and recycling operations. How you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good. So what are we standing in front of?
So this can be a lot to look at and a lot to take in, but this is a renewable natural gas plant. This has probably been in the works for close to 10 years. The technology finally caught up enough where it was cost effective enough to put in a system like this. Landfill gas can be a little bit inherently difficult to deal with, and to do it in a manner that you can clean it up and put it into a pipeline and use it. And so about 3 years ago, we broke ground on this plant. This plant's a maximum of a 6,000 cubic feet per minute plant. And so it can process lots of gas. Right now it's running about 50% utilized. But this takes all of the low BTU gases and materials and moisture and everything out of the gas that makes it hard to sell, and produces a very high-grade pipeline specification gas that can be used for truck fuel, transportation, buses, and also used for local businesses and for residential homes.
So you are really using that reduce, reuse, recycle thing all of the time.
Absolutely.
In all of your facets of the organization.
It's not just a saying, we've lived it our entire lives.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the beginning. How did Kimble start?
So Kimble started with my grandfather and grandmother at this point about 70 years ago. They started mining coal and clay and shale, and then they got into waste collection, and they built a landfill in the early 90s, and we've operated that since that point, and that's evolved with new regulations and new best practices. And in addition, this is a big example of one of them. And we started from about one garbage truck that we had in the early 90s. Yeah.
And how many you have now?
Just under 600.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
And the greatest part about that is every one of those trucks has a driver in them.
Yeah.
So there's a significant amount of employment opportunity.
Our lakes, rivers, trails, and forests are more than landmarks. They're the part of the story of who we are. And as we celebrate America's 250th birthday, we're reminded that preserving these natural treasures is one of the greatest investments that we can make in the future of Tuscarawas County. Because our story isn't only written in our communities, it's written in the landscapes that continue to shape us.